Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about ternary form. Ternary form, as the name suggests, has three distinct sections: an A section, a B section, and then an A prime section, where the A material is usually presented in a slightly different way. So we might be asking ourselves, well, that sounds a lot like rounded binary form. So what's the difference? Well, for one thing, the B section in a ternary form is usually a lot more developed. It sounds different, it has a different character, different textures, different register. One of those things makes it feel like it stands alone by itself as a complete section, whereas in rounded binary form, the B section, or the B, is a little bit more like a digression. It's like we go somewhere for a moment and then we come back to the A section. Think about it sort of like tonicization versus modulation, right? So in tonicization, we went there for a moment, we came back. In modulation, we picked up our stuff and we moved there, and then in this case, we're going to pick up our stuff again and move back for the A prime section. So let's listen to a piece and see how this form plays out. This is a very short ternary form. Ternary forms can be epically long. You can find them in symphonies. Ternary forms often are the basis for minuet trios or scherzo trios. And yeah, they can be very, very flexible and powerful forms for composers. Okay, so in this piece we have this clear A section on the first line, and then we have a modulation into D minor for the second line, and then we come back into F major for the third line. So the first thing to check is the third line a repeat or close repeat of A? So is it our A prime? So we have this. Doesn't look exactly the same, but basically what's just happened is that to give it a little bit of a different shape, I've moved the opening measure up an octave, and then it comes right back. And then the ending's a little bit different to give us a really nice complete cadence. This first cadence here was an IAC, so it didn't feel that complete. This one at the end, a PAC, definitely feels like the piece is ending. So the second thing to say is, well, is this now a rounded binary form, or is it a ternary form? So to do that, let's listen to just the middle and say, does this feel like its own section, or does it feel like more of a digression from A? So it does feel kind of like its own section, right? It has its nice cadence at the end, in fact a perfect authentic cadence in D minor, and then there are some other things that are changed. We have more of a flowing bass line that is arpeggiated, and there's some pedal in there as well. You'll notice that the shape of the melody is a little bit different, although it still follows the same basic idea, melodic shape, as the A section, because that's just a nice melodic shape. But also the move to minor clearly sets this apart from the A section. So while there are gray areas between what rounded binary is and what ternary form is, in this case I'd say this was a fairly clear ternary form. There's enough that's different to make this feel like its own musical section rather than just part of the second big section. So perhaps one way to think about it is, we know binary form is a two-section form, right? And ternary form is a three-section form. So if you feel like there are three distinct sections, it has to be ternary. If you feel like there are two distinct sections, even if there's a digression in the second one, it's going to be a binary form. So that's simple enough, right? And that's a simple ternary. What we have now to deal with is a compound ternary. So compound ternary is one where each section has its own form. So the A section has a form, the B section has a form, and the C section has a form. And you find these in things like the minuet trios and the scherzo trios in symphonies. So let's look at an example of this. So we'll look at some examples of compound ternary music in class, but a potential compound ternary form could look like this. So on the top level we have our basic ternary form. So we have a contrasting B section, and then A prime. Underneath that we have a form that you could see as part of this. So in the A we could see that split into a simple binary, right? So AB, and that would usually be repeated. So you could have AB, AB, or AABB, some version of that. The B section, you'd have two different themes. You'd have C and D, and so again you could repeat those in a number of different ways. And then in A prime you'd go back to this original form template. Usually in an A prime section, especially in the minuet, scherzo, etc., you don't repeat, so you just get AB. So this would be an example of what you might see as a compound ternary. It's just a ternary form that has individual forms inside each big section. And that's pretty much it for ternary.